Welcome to the Horsemanship Remark Show.
It's the first show of March 2026. Holy smokes. And ugh, battling my tripod just as usual. Shout out to Don Melka, who painted the penguin, and Donna, who bought the penguin for me.
Shout out to Nicole Poyo for the sweet ass photo.
Yeah, and there's my art from Steven. Yeah, sweet ass. So I messaged Nicole because, I kind of when I did the audio note, I don't know if you listened to it or not yet, but I was talking about the first Colt Start with the cupcake. And there's a couple like clutch photos from that year. She sent me the whole album from the next year, but oh, you know how it is. It's like it was 11 years ago. So I don't know where those photos are or what, drive they're on or, oh. So
Organizing photos is for the birds.
it is definitely for the birds. Yes, no question. Well, how are you this morning?
Good. Sun shining.
Yay.
Brightens the mood.
Nah, definitely. Definitely. We've had some really pretty moments here too. For sure. I was just outside and the hyacinths are coming actually blooming, or at least getting ready to. So that's exciting. Julie, good morning. You got her text this morning, Michael?
I did. That was pretty awesome.
Mm, That's what I was trying to say. Meet you at this, like you meet the soft feel. You don't like make a soft feel. You know what I mean?
I
So,
think, oddly enough, I think maybe like 6 years ago, I was trying to describe something like that, which is odd. Trying to
mhm.
think of the words I used, but I wasn't thinking of it the same way or feeling it the same way. But I was, I think, trying to get at describing that. I wish I could remember what the word I used was. It'll come to me, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you
Okay.
should tell everyone what Julie said, though.
Oh, well, Julie, you should say it. Um,
Yeah,
let's
copy
see.
and paste your message this morning,
Yeah.
or
Copy.
or say it again.
Mm-hmm. Michelle, good morning. Emily, when you get here this morning, let me know because we're going to tell the divorce story, Michael, because I referred to the cupcake story, or I wove the five principles into the cupcake story was the point because
Oh,
that morning when we went into the arena, my brand new horse, we were in there together, you and me. Um, and that's when I came up with the five principles. And that's when, and it hasn't changed.
cup. Was that year two?
Nope, year one.
Year one. Okay. Frosty was year two. I
Correct.
wasn't sure if it was frosting or frosty.
Frosting.
Frosting. Yeah,
Mhm.
frosting was, yeah. Okay, cupcake year one.
Mhm.
Paint.
Yeah,
Person, I believe, still has him.
I know. He made a bridal horse quite a while ago. Um, yeah. So, anyways, I was telling that, and then I referred to how fun it was, and then I referred to the divorce story, and then Emily was like, "What divorce story?" I'm like, "Yay! I love telling the divorce story." So, anyway, as soon as she gets here, we'll tell it. So, somebody say, Emily, when you get here, let's go for it. Sarah, good morning. So, I hope you guys listen to the five principles. It's because, some people who shall remain nameless. I was like, "What are the five principles?" You got them in your mind, and this person was like, "Kind of." I'm like, all right, we have to kind of be able to recite them for sure. Anyway, so we'll tell the divorce story when Emily gets here. Good morning, Corey. So I want to know what's on your mind. Michelle is perfect. It's so good because the guys at um the guys at Bellwether, I had them recite the curriculum, which I know I will put that in Horsemanship Insider so that it's on a list for everybody at Basecamp too. I'm thinking of making you guys. I'm thinking of making the Basecamp bulletin free for everybody, like anyone who wants to join. Is that a good idea? I don't know if that's a good idea or not. You guys tell me. Those of you guys that are members, tell me if that's a good idea. If I should make the base camp bulletin available, if anybody wants to sign up, we can decide on that later. But
You
okay.
might need an analogy summary, like extremely short, not a whole article.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean for the?
Mountain, base camp, curriculum, principles.
Okay. Why don't you work on that? You're writing now.
Okay.
You got.
No. Wrote once.
Oh my God. I write all the time. I'm like, did you read this? And people are like, no. Michael reads it one time and I hear how amazing it is from everybody. Oh, jeez.
Where did you hear that? Because I didn't hear it.
Multiple people. Hold on just a second.
All
There
right.
we go. I just gotta always zap a couple bots here. Julie, yeah. So you want to read it, Michael? Good job, Julie.
Julio said, first ride after the clinic and our pre-flight checklist, or after a pre-flight checklist on a long rain. When I started gathering her up, I felt her rearrange her body, and she was a split second ahead of me in the gathering. I couldn't believe how much rain I had to take up to meet her where she put herself. She defined the rectangle she was ready to work with, or within. That's it. Pretty
Mhm.
well sums it up. See you guys next week.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting, Julie, is like every single horse. It happens. This is not. I mean, I'm not trying to unspecialize it because not everybody's gonna find it. But I guess what I'm saying is, if you do hunt around and assemble things like that, it will happen. Once again, Scarlet is the ultimate proof. Scarlet should have a parade like every time when the red carpet should come out for her.
So, Julie, had you not either say, you initiated there and she was a step ahead of you, had you not met her there or spent some time in the last month saying, hey, let's try this, do you think you'd be there?
Yeah, and, I would. One thing I would think is that watching you guys shorten the rectangle, right, Julie? I bet watching other people shorten the rectangle, or yeah, meet the horse as the potential to shorten the rectangle is there. So Michelle, like when in our lesson yesterday, as soon as we get that curve, his ability to push himself from his hind leg around the curve, it'll be so easy to shorten the rein. It'll just be like nothing. You just shorten the rein because the rein, the rectangle is shortening. We were close yesterday, so that's exciting. But you don't have to do too much of that until after the Buck clinic. She's riding with Buck a couple weekends. So anyway, so Julie, the I'd be curious, I would be curious how you would explain it to someone who's never felt it before. You know what I mean? Where someone's like in that kind of middle rein and it's like, ah, what words would you use? She says I had to help her believe that smaller is better, and that's taken 6 years. When I read that a second ago, I thought you were saying you had to believe. I had to convince her a
Also
little.
true.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Also
like,
true. And that's kind of what I was referencing. Like if you hadn't hadn't appreciated, which I think is some of what Julie's come to in the last short while here, that Scarlett do, can go that way. Scarlett will have an easier time going that way, will prefer going that way. Um,
Is already going that way.
yeah.
That's part of
But
it.
ultimately, the thing I think Julie has wrapped her head around in the last month, or like has realized, right? I had to help her believe, or what Julie had to believe is the short rein is necessary to help her support her in continuing to go that way. Just leaving it all out there and letting her go along, thinking you're doing a service to her, is not necessarily um, serving her in the way you might think. And I had a similar conversation, a
Hold on
totally different
a second.
topic, with Sarah yesterday, because Sarah was working with Carly, Gabrielle's horse, and um, so kind of launching into another story here, but uh, Carly was distracted by, we had a filly that was loose, kind of just getting comfortable in the arena, and I had just had them, Carly, the filly, and a couple others, tooling around the arena together, getting used to one another, slash the horses that already ran together were just having fun in the arena, ripping back and forth. The filly, meanwhile, was comfortable with the one or two and kind of getting settled.
One second, Michael. Just one.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, yes. The Dordanes would love to know your name. Hold on a second, and we will explain it. Continue, Michael.
So, Carly in okay, there's four horses I'm talking about. So I'll slow down and try to not spit the whole thing out. You got a minute, everybody? So, three horses have been in training. Farah, the one who I talked about a couple weeks in a row, who was just every bit of exposure was completely new to her, extremely sensitive to every feeling, every sight, every sound. Pepita, who you saw, Eva has been riding her. She's going really nicely. She is tiny, but extremely, extremely fast when she sticks it to the floor or hits it to the floor. Um, Carly, who's Gabrielle's horse, who's been here for a bit now, um, who I don't think I've talked about her that much, but one of the things she's needing support in is she's very anxious around other horses. So Eva and I have been working on that recently, having her, I mean, I worked her horse back a little bit. That took a while for her to believe she was okay with this big horse coming up to her. She wasn't worried about me above her necessarily, but just the other horse moving into her space and her being able to settle. So that we get worked out. I'm petting her, I'm at her shoulder, shoulder to shoulder. She's able to settle there. I was telling them yesterday, like, Rooster, seriously, you got to learn that your job is to just completely ignore her. Because even when I'm like finally convince him, no, you can't say hi, just stand here, then she would like go to sniff him and I'm trying to block her and he's swishing his tail. I'm like, dude, give her like a little bit of slack as I help her with this. Because every time you swish your tail, you're freaking scaring the piss out of her and she's just barely getting confident. Anyone. Anyway, um, so it's Rooster and Carly, and then um, we're Eva was riding Carly, I was riding Rooster, and kind of riding right up to one another. I would approach Carly, Carly would approach Rooster, and she's like pretty worried about that initially, having to kind of take the rein and help her stay there as if I was had her on the end of a lead rope, working her horse back, and until she could kind of make that transition by herself and find comfort just standing like shoulder to shoulder, almost touching, but just resting there. Um, So that went really well, but that's one of the things we're working on. So that's a little context on Carly. And then this new filly, cute little Palomino, young, pretty innocent. I guess she got hurt pretty young being in a herd. So the owners kind of were pretty careful about her being with other horses. She just barreled through a fence. So here she is. She's comfortable with Pepita. We get that all worked out. They're kind of buddies. Then I bring the other two in, Carly and Farah, and they decide it's time to run around the arena because why not? The footing's good and let's go have fun. So the three that know each other, Carly, Farah, and Pepita, ripping around the arena, um, kicking up heels, just going from a standstill to tearing into the footing and blasting out. The filly is going, holy cow, what in the world is going on here? Um, kind of hiding in the corner. I kept encouraging her to get out of the corner so she didn't get stuck in there if they came barreling down. Kind of helping them move. Anyway, directing traffic a little bit. Carly, as this is the focus of the whole context setting thing here. Carly very clearly exhibiting how anxious she is about meeting another horse in which there is an element of uncertainty. Okay. So it's interesting. I dropped Carly in, this is a couple weeks ago, with Farah and Pepita. And they basically walked up, did their whole look big, crane your, lift your back, crane, all the noses go together. Didn't even squeal, just kind of turned and walked away, and then sniffed each other, and then did it another time. And then maybe they all came together and Pepita did a little lift her head and then swing her butt, and the other two just kind of casually walked away. And that was the end of it. They all went and walked around like they were friends and they went to eat. Okay, so there's no real, it didn't seem like, concern for who is in charge. Although Pepita did do that little bit of, I'm gonna, and the other two were like, sure, whatever. So yesterday, the four of them in together, and Carly with this new horse, also kind of already having a herd with Farah and Pepita, would pin her ears and the filly wouldn't move, but wouldn't match it. And so she'd kind of just be stuck there with this expression, not really believing she could move the other horse, more than likely, or not being sure of herself enough to actually do it.
This is Carly.
This is Carly. Okay. And she did that a few times and then kind of just ducked off with her friends. And then a time or two, she would do that and then swing her butt around, and the filly wouldn't really move, but wouldn't really match it or challenge her. And then she'd walk off. Like, no real back and forth going here. She's just bluffing, and the filly is like looking at her like, what? Right. Then at one point, one time, she did the whole thing, kind of gave a nasty look, turned, and they were close enough, and she did kick, but she kicked and then ran away. And the filly obviously jumped too because she just got walloped in the gut. Um, and that was the only contact between them. But it went on for a while, kind of the same thing. She'd like give her look, and the filly wouldn't yield, and then she'd kind of like go run away with her friends. So that and all of the commotion of running around, and then everything settled and the three were kind of together, and Pepito would go hang out with the filly, and Pepito was kind of claiming the filly a little bit, telling the other two to go away. But Carly didn't really ever sort out necessarily, probably, where she stood with this other one. The other one wasn't challenging her. The other one was just like shell shocked at all this, like three new horses at once that are galloping around this arena. So, everything settles down quiet enough. They've made their introductions. Horses go where they need to go so we can all get to work. And so then the filly's still in there, just getting used to the space, wandering around while we're all working. And Sarah and Gabrielle came to work with Carly. Told you this was a story and a half. Lots of context to set here. And the filly's still in there. Carly comes in. She's a little anxious. Last time she was in here, this is kind of high intensity. She maybe left not being completely sure of where she stood with this new one. And so she comes into the arena. I'm like, bring her in here right away because I could tell she was going to need to move around. And Sarah was moving her around, and the filly was coming up to say hi again, completely innocently. And especially because Carly was on the end of a lead rope, she felt probably more vulnerable because sometimes she was had her butt turned, and Sarah's like trying not to, you know, trying to direct the situation, trying not to have Carly um, kind of take over and go at this colt, whatever, all this. And so it was an opportunity for her to build Carly's confidence in her that, look, I'm going to move you. You can pay attention to me. I'm going to move you out of harm's way. And then I'm going to walk over and tell this filly, hey, get out of here. Give us some room. Okay.
Michael, you're you're muted. Are you? Yeah.
Sorry. So that was a long story to get to basically that. But we then talked about how much um, that is one of the needs to learn in order for the whole picture to come together. Like that is one of her biggest distraction points, even as she's learning to be directable, to stay with you, getting more flow and more balance and a hindquarter yield that just kind of melts into itself, and sitting back over her hindquarters for like all of this is coming together. But if she's still feeling the need anytime a horse comes toward her to protect herself or to be worried about that, that kind of has to be addressed additionally, right? Just saying block that out, block that out, block that out is there. I mean, that works, but it's also a just trust me, just trust me, just trust me without ever kind of I guess this is the way I described it to Sarah, systematically setting up, because Sarah was like kind of a bit in over her head trying to navigate this whole thing. I'm like, this is good for you and her. We're like on the edge of what she's comfortable with. And it's not so much that you can't handle this and work through it with her, but it's an opportunity for you to show her, don't worry about that other horse. Stay focused on what we're doing and build that kind of gradually in a situation um, where your confidence that this is going to work out prevails in her mind to where she believes this is going to work out. And her concern with this filly kind of being loose in the vicinity was unnecessary. Right? So, like them or Carly coming back into the arena, it was um, like a opportunity now to not just expose her and let her sort this out on her own. It was an opportunity for us, or in this case Sarah, to help her like build her confidence with this, showing her that what we've been working on is the thing that'll get there. And then Sarah later asked, like, I can't remember her exact question. Maybe Sarah, you could tune in with your exact question. But um, is this something along the lines of this the way it always goes? Or, would it be the same if she was really worried about the horse, and kind of beside herself, and you were just really would you still be saying, keep her, keep with me? And My answer to that was, well, the more you can have going, the better off you are helping her. Um, and if you don't have anything going, it'd be nice if you could like temper the situation to where it's not throwing her into the deep end while you have no credibility with her to support her and help her through it. Um, but we kind of had a nice setup of it wasn't high threshold danger in her mind. It was low grade concern slash little bit of need to protect yourself, which she kind of lives in or has lived in. It's getting better. Like anytime a horse that she doesn't know is in the vicinity, and enough going that she was supportable or directable, and Sarah having enough skill in terms of technique and how to direct her in order to use what she knew to support her in this less than in the rafters scared situation. Okay. So there's the full context. And now to the point. The point being, if I can remember what it was, um, the certainty with which and the consistency with which the rectangle is defined is what gave her confidence that she was going to be okay. Right. Where Sarah was not as direct or was a little bit um, hesitant to say, hey, like, don't worry about that. We got this thing going. And it was a little mushy, like all the confidence she might have built from the times before saying, hey, block that out. You're good. Kind of eroded away a little bit because she was able to be distracted by that and get concerned. So, it was essentially an opportunity for the horse to learn that she's got it, and it was an opportunity for Sarah to observe firsthand, lead rope in her hand rather than someone else's hand, how the consistency, and in this case being firm enough to cut through the distraction and be like, no, pay attention to what you know here, because doing anything less than that was essentially teaching her or showing her, continue to protect yourself and ignore me in the process. So there's my story.
Yeah, that's very cool. Hmm. It's a big deal. Big deal.
I think
And it,
Gabrielle kind of had the same opportunity, um, less alarm because the Sarah had done part of it, but then it was with Gabrielle kind of the same thing, like hone it tighter now. Like watch the moment she's distracted, change something. Say, nope, nope, focus on this. If she's a little delayed, be like, nope, like you weren't focused, you weren't connected. Tie to my energy, tie to my seat. Um, Sarah said, yes, that was my question. It was basically, do I keep doing what I'm doing or do I try and take her out of the situation? It was super helpful. I learned how to be more clear to help offer confidence.
mhm, that's very cool. Is that I've done it where I go out into the field. These are my horses though, so I get to decide. But gone out into the field with an unconfident horse on the lead rope, you know, and just moved everybody one by one. So they would really move off, you know, and and that really helped. Yeah. This is going to be very helpful for Anna too. Hmm. Yeah, it's a big one. It's definitely a big one. And it makes sense that that would be a question in a horse's mind.
Well, and one of the most powerful things I think for Carly is when I think at this point it was Gabrielle was going, like, would kind of get Carly behind her, yield the hindquarters, go to walk toward the filly to say, no, take your attention elsewhere. Carly would kind of be behind her, pinning her ears, like, yeah, you get out of here. And Gabrielle turning and going, no, not your job. You stay there. I got this handled.
Mhm.
And those were the moments that were perhaps the most influential,
Mhm.
where it's like, no, you're because there it was also it was that shade of, okay, the horse is moving away, and that's where for Carly there's that point of anxiety is, what if I try to tell them in my very unconfident way to move
Sure.
and they don't?
Yeah.
Then what do I do?
Yeah.
Right, because I'm not confident enough to actually move them, but they're not really necessarily trying to move me, like in the case of this filly, or like with Rooster. I'm not trying, or they're not moving if I'm like pinning my ears because I'm nervous, or Rooster is actually moving into me, but not in a threatening way. There's just all this like, where do I stand? Can I move them? Am I going to survive if they move into me? Right? Is this going to be okay? But for her to then have an opportunity, like, following the cows, oh, I can move them. And she's like, all right, let's go, with Gabrielle's support. Yeah, get that horse out of there. For her to go, oh, okay, they will move. Like, she's not going to get us, but I'm not the one that gets to go in there and rule the show.
Mm.
So,
So impactful to the horse.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Big big item of like setting the stage, for how it's going to be.
So
Mm.
do you remember what we were talking about when I launched into that story? Because I'm still not sure I tied it back to what initially triggered the thought of that story.
Well, we were going to tell the divorce story, and Emily is now here this morning, so we will tell that story.
We were talking about something else though before we get to the divorce story. What were what triggered that thought? It was not the divorce story.
Well, we were talking about Scarlet.
I know, but it was some
You
specific thing.
know.
Julia's like, wait, I thought we were talking about Scarlet.
Well, I think maybe you were talking about just the inevitability of it. Probably that was part of it. Is like, because Julie was talking about how, shortening the rein, and um that's a benefit. The shorter rectangle is a benefit. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Corey, too. Instilling confidence, Sarah was saying.
Yeah,
So I don't remember anything else, you guys.
that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the other piece of it is, and this is gonna, I think, tie it together a little bit more with the shorter rectangle. So then Gabrielle was riding Carly after some of this, and with the riding we've done and the groundwork and building her confidence little by little with the other horses, there's now space to help her find a shorter rectangle,
Mhm.
because she's not constantly, if the arena was busy, and as I told Gabrielle, if she's not organized or she's too influenced by other things, you can't get her organized by boxing her in at this stage. Like, you have to get her emotionally turned loose. We have to work on building her confidence with these other horses. But like a couple weeks ago, there was really no opportunity at that point, and it is kind of like, well, who knows how long it'll take us to get there for her to be organized enough to say, okay, now let's dial in the rectangle, because you have the balance to do so, because you have the mental um, trust, and you're settled enough with other horses in your space, maybe
Mm.
not coming right up to you, but that um, we can operate this way and not have you just crashing out of the rectangle. And what was interesting, and this is perhaps, or this is where it was tied to what we were saying with Scarlett. The way I described it at the very end to Gabrielle is it's pretty clear that Carly had been hopped on, got going to whatever degree, not being settled, not being confident around other horses, not having her balance organized, and someone had helped her, quote unquote, take a shape, right? Because
Correct.
as soon as, yeah, collect, exactly. Because as soon as she was smoothed out, she was balanced, she was not self defensive, worried about this, looking at that. Oh, that horse is coming into my space. Maybe the arena was quiet enough that there wasn't so much of that influencing her. And she was relaxed and long, like what Julie described there with Scarlett, not quite her kind of gathering up completely on her own and just taking up the rein, but you could pick up the reins and she knew to soften, right? She'd been collected before. Like she knew how to respond to that, but because her whole body was moving and more balanced,
It's
she
not
just slot she
that
just slotted in and went through her whole body
exact.
fairly quickly,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
The emptiness that there likely was there, given, I mean, obviously there's, it only could have been empty because of how out of balance she was, because of how worried she was about everything else, because of how tight and choppy her movement was. If you'd picked up a soft feel, quote unquote, at that point, if you tried to collect her, as theoretically it seems like was done, it would have only been this, and it would have been this just fizzed up spot behind that line, right? But it was quite impressive to me how quickly she took her knowledge of softening here through her whole body because of the preparation of having her balanced and mentally settled.
Hmm.
And who knows, maybe at some point she was balanced and mentally settled, early on,
Hmm.
but she was certainly not that way. And that's the stuff we had to build in to bring that back to the surface. And that's what I was saying to Gabrielle. This is available to you
That's
now,
sure the
right?
connect. Yeah, between Scarlett and yeah.
Yeah. So this is available to you, but don't go into it assuming it's available to you. Because if it's not at the beginning of that ride, you're just not going to be helping her by boxing her in and trying to get that to help her. So
Hmm.
thanks
Yeah,
for all of you helping me get back to the connection point that got me on that long story.
yeah. Who was telling me? Um. Oh, somebody was saying they wanted the clinic to be smaller because they didn't have room to ride. Um. And I was just commenting, your horse is more broke than ever before. So you're going to feel like there's more room than ever before. And there's that maneuverability that comes from a shorter rectangle in order to make tighter turns and stop and go and like, all those things where sometimes I guess it makes me think of it as like horses are maneuvering around other horses and staying concentrated and seeing the value in being piloted, you getting, you saying, "Hey, here's a gap," or whatever. Then and at the same time saying, "Okay, well, actually me going around in a shorter rectangle, looking up is beneficial." So it's this self-fulfilling loop. And then the ability to get long and relaxed. But I think it's the same if you're on the end of a lead rope. What?
No, continue. I won't forget.
Really?
Hmm.
Okay, we'll see. The the if you're on the end of the lead rope and stuff is going on around you, uh, then you get to learn a little bit more about how directable your horse is on the end of the lead rope, and how much they really do trust you as a leader, and how good of a leader can you be. So there's a lot of value in that, and sometimes the truth kind of bites, but you will see the truth of the matter. Like, how much is your horse just washing around? So the same, riding, it's like, as the years go by, if you're riding the same horse, if you're still kind of complaining about the space to ride, it's like, okay, but we have to ride with some precision when other horses are not in there, so that you can be prepared to to see the truth of the matter. Can you ride around amongst everybody? Because from the point where you just think of a working equitation class, a higher level class, where they're just loping around through the obstacles, stop, go. Like, it's very, very precise. And it doesn't matter if there's a lot of people in there. So while you're working on it, or if your horse is still green, then of course, this is all more difficult, but it's kind of handy to then show your horse that there's value in and amongst that. Like, and the same thing applies, when you're on the end of the lead rope. Emily, we'll get to the story here in a second. So Julie says, I think that what I'm understanding is that we reveal to our horses that here is where things feel good, and here can be anywhere I ask you to be. It builds her trust in us being the source. I would also add that the horse can reveal to you, you know, that it's a benefit and you can be there and your preparation did work. That's why I find myself repeatedly, as the horse gets more balanced and ends up straight and over their hindquarters. It's like, look, hello, this is where you could lope off. There's nothing wrong with that. Why not? Then you show the horse that they can use it. So, yeah. What were you going to say, Michael?
Well, the other touch point was, and Julie commented there, humans believing in the power of the smaller rectangle. In order for Carly to find, like, Gabrielle just got on, and I'm like, longer rein, longer rein. It's like, she's going to trot out, or you're asking her to trot out. Like, she needs more space because, like, your reins are long, yes, long enough that you're like a little bit, I'd kind of like them to be shorter, but she's still kind of just a little bit bumping into that. And so Gabrielle was great at trusting me, trusting her horse, longer, longer. And then the smoothing out was possible, right? So we were mentioning earlier not being in the middle of, or in between, being able to let the horse explore and find their balance through the movements. And then as they gather up, it might be a substantial change. I remember one show a while back, quite a while back. It's like, how many feet of rain might you be gathering up, right? From, as long as my reins can be, to I am not very far from the slobber straps once the horse packages themselves up. So with Carly, it was, for her to get there, she needs more space. She needs to feel like there's nothing in her way to flow forward. Otherwise, we're going to end up her kind of bumping into it and it being choppy. She's not going to collect up. The gait's going to get shorter. She's going to um, stiffen against that rather than be supple, and then you go to try to rebalance her and she's already kind of getting this defensive feel against running into your hands. So it had to get longer. Like, there had to be enough room in order to get us to the game. And as soon as Gabrielle was good about, like I said, just giving her that space, as soon as she was able to flow around, do a few hindquarter yields, we really didn't.
He has to look up for me to be able to say.
Sorry, hadn't really worked on backing a circle because we hadn't, as of yet picked up a soft feel. But then saying, okay, now let's gather up the reins. Shorter, 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 shorter. And because she just slotted right in.
Well, he's going to come back in a second, you guys. Okay, so one thing I wanted to tell the Horsemanship Insider Pathfinders, this is going to be really fun because I think I'm going to get this up today. It's a video that relates to this entire topic. It is probably, I think it's a 7-minute video or something like that of me and my Hanoverian. Oh no, I don't know if he can come back. Oh, no, no, no. Hopefully, yes. Willow, the lightning bolt girl. Some of you guys remember, and it'll be cool for you guys to see because it's an 8-year-old video, but it totally relates to all the things that we're working. And guess what you're gonna see? She should be shortening her reins. She could shorten her reins. She could shorten her reins. Shorter and then also longer, right? So hopefully Michael will text me if he cannot get back in here. So yeah, it's a bit shocking, how long the horse can be. And this is like it's a dynamic situation over your ride, right? Because you might start with a horse that is X amount long, and then they're going to get longer, longer, and shorter, shorter, shorter. So this is part of like, oh, yay, he's coming back. Good. I was going to say, this is part of the value of learning your rein management, even in your one rein stop and in your directing a front foot. I'm trying to add him. I think yeah, you know, is because you get a lot of practice when everything is kind of slow, right? You get a lot of practice of you being handy at shortening and lengthening. So that's a very big deal. I wonder where he went, huh? This is very interesting. So um when you watch this video, or you guys could pick any video, it doesn't have to be one of mine. This is just particularly for some of you guys that are horsemanship insiders. Like look at the hind leg, look at the low back, look at me, and like my low back takes like is matching her by my reins. It's like it's okay, it's not horrible or anything. Michael Sparling, what do you, oh no, is that you? What should you do? I don't know what to say. Do we need to jump out? Text me. I can get your text on my watch, so text me if you want to. What do you want to do on here? Um, I don't know what to say. Technology is such a son of a bitch, right? It's good enough that it makes you rely on it, and then not as good. So anyway, Corey, what did you say here? I need help getting better at feeling what I need to feel to determine rein length. Um, yes, yes. So one thing I would just say, I would say all of us, right? That's a big a super value if for me too, to have somebody um on the ground watching, right? But what I would say, all of you guys could practice shortening the curve a little bit. And then here, we'll try this again. Add Michael. He maybe had to restart his phone or something. I'll try it one more time. Add Michael. There we go. I think he's gonna come back here. Yeah, we'll see. You're back. Or talk.
Sorry.
Make sure we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're kind of quiet.
Should I
Maybe
talk
that's me.
louder?
Huh?
Should I
No.
talk louder? You can't hear me? What the hell?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I think he's kind of quiet, right, guys?
I can hear me just fine.
Okay, you guys say if you can hear him because mine is kind of quiet, but he can use his theater voice, right, Michael? You've been a performer at times.
I don't have a theater voice.
Uh-huh. You guys say, can somebody please comment if they can hear him well enough? So, you guys, if you shorten the curve, he sounds fine. Okay, good. Um, if you shorten the curve, but you have to be able to do that without the horse falling to the inside, right? So that means you have to be able to lead a front foot and lead in other words, lead the inside front foot and lead the outside front foot. But if you can shorten the curve, all of you, including Corey, can play with this. The horse will get rounder, and then you can shorten the reins. You know, and the goal is this is the goal with shortening the rein is that you don't have the horse as they're moving because they are in motion. You don't have the reins bouncing. That's the thing. You should be, if the reins are short enough, then your arm, your elbow in particular, and your delt will take up it will absorb the motion. And that cannot be if the reins are too long. So once again, in the Willow video, you're going to see me shortening my reins like this, but it would have just been better for me to reach down and shorten them in front. It's going to be a good example. I think you guys are going to like it. Oh, and another side note, you know
The
what I was
Willow
thinking we
video?
could do if you guys want, but we would have to kind of organize it pretty soon, is we could do like a Zoom call or something like that where we look at it and talk it over together. So um anyway.
The Willow video?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I Yeah, I'm gonna add it to Pathfinders.
Could you mentioned the Maggie video. I was
I
thinking you
know.
were
I
headed
think
to
I'm gonna postpone that one because this one I just found and I was like, "Ooh, this is good because this is relevant to what everybody is on to right now." Plus, she's so pretty. The one crappy thing, you guys, is I miss my horses. You know. Anyway, I don't want to whine about it, but it hurts my heart in a good way, I guess. But looking at the old videos, I'm like, oh. So then I go out and spend time with my current horses and I feel better. Played with Feather yesterday. Anyway, do we have any? I sat on her too, you know. I'm like, this is gonna be so fun. That's just what I always dreamed, with her. That. Anyway, um, you guys, so what else are your thoughts on that? Michael, we have to tell the story, the
Okay.
divorce story, but did you have
You-
any?
No, I think it was just a matter of the dramatic difference between a loose rein and gathering up as short as their rectangle
Is becoming.
is becoming and begins needs to you need to meet them there. It needs to be short enough to support them and push afloat. To have that conversation. I mean, if they pick up the phone and start to have that conversation and you're out to lunch, well, then there's not a conversation going, and you know you're missing an opportunity,
Hmm. Hmm.
or making or putting static in the lines by thinking you're short enough to have that conversation, and it's just messy, bouncing reins, bumping them in the mouth, whatever the case might be.
Hmm. Yeah, then you get to a place where you can shorten the reins and the horse will step up into it and get round, you know. So,
So Eva described that yesterday with Pepita. She's like, it was so wild. I picked up the reins and I felt the hind leg step up, and like her power into it and round herself up just because I was gathering up my reins. So
that's kind of what Julie's saying, I think, too.
yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And it's so nice, and you guys will all I'm sure a lot of us know the difference between a horse feeling the reins and going
Yeah.
and feeling the reins and going like that. Night and day, everyone can feel it. I mean, it's just okay, so one quick example regarding feather and this idea is actually backing her up from the ground, either off the like off a bounce in the lead rope or off of a feel, particularly, well, actually either really, but it's the one that's in the most jeopardy is the one off of the halter knot, is her exploring being light with her feet, but the head going down. And you're like, oh, girl, look, we might as well just organize this all together. And I'm just going to believe that your donkey muscles can turn loose, you know, because I don't want to teach her that it's like down to back up. We're not going to be a reining mule. So it's like we're going to be round and back up. So I have to help her. But I was really thinking as she's practicing, I'm like, oh, this would be so easy for her to misunderstand. All those little places where you're like, oh, she could think this. It would be so
Mhm.
easy to get it wrong. Versus like this is laying the groundwork for when I get on her. And then, you could use a backing arc, whatever it is that you need to do. But Joanne, good morning. What's the upside down? What's the upside down smiley face there? That's the 6 or 7.
'Cause
Uh
she's going down and she's a
oh,
unicorn. I don't know.
oh, oh, oh,
She,
okay. Just silly. Okay. So, Michael, you want to tell the divorce story?
nope,
Why not?
because you're better at it.
No, I like it when you tell it.
See, then I tell it and you fill in all the details.
Uh, Listen to
So
this
why don't
millennial talking smack. What do you
so
know?
why
You don't even
so
know.
why don't no, why don't you just tell it? And I'll fill in details.
Michelle said her fourth grader told her it wasn't cool anymore. All right. Well, they are the authority. That is for sure. Okay. So I will tell the story. Emily, give the thumbs up if you're still here because otherwise we'll wait till another day. But this I'll just set the stage. So what was cool about the first
We
year?
only have so much time, so don't stitch the stage as long as I did.
She's here. Okay. No, no, no. It doesn't need to be. And I've told the story so many times, but I'll
I
never
know.
get sick of it. I love it.
I'm joking. Just being
Oh,
silly.
oh, okay. So the first year, if you guys have been to the Buck Brannaman Invitational Colt Start for the last 10 years, you will have missed this because I don't believe that this has been done since the first year. But the first year was it the second day, Michael, right? Yeah. So we were in the indoor a lot in the first year because there was no outdoor round pen. So we were all in Buck's indoor arena until we rode out. Then it was like open the door, off we go, and then we went way farther out than anybody goes these days too. So the beginning year was kind of fun, and it took us a while to get over the disappointment of not being able to do the divorce. So basically, what Buck had us do, because the first day in the afternoon, he split the arena in half with the panels and just flagged us all together. It was one of the coolest experiences of my life for sure. Because, there were 20 something of us in there, which means you were kind of packed in like sardines, which meant you could reach over and pet the other horses as you were going. Like I'd never had that experience and quite a bit different, when you have just 4 or 5 or 6 people in the round pen together. Would you agree, Michael Sparling?
Mm.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
fun.
I'm just thinking of both Carly and Farah, who, like, if I just took her from right where she was and plopped her into that environment, they would have both been initially dysfunctional in different ways, and not dysfunctional in the sense of like they didn't know how to be a horse and operate with the others. They did, they would have, but it would have been ideal, perfect, because it's kind of a sink or swim, and Buck's directing the deal, and they all get to flowing together, and there's support in that unique environment. But both of them would have been like, "Holy hell, what do I do with all this?" They would have been the ones that would have stood out from the rest because they would not have just fallen into the flow right away. Anyway,
Yeah,
continue.
of course, Buck
It is
flags them.
certainly an experience like no other. Yeah, so just talking about flagging them before where you're talking, now we're riding them.
Yeah, and it was such a secure feeling because, when you're packed in there like that, and they'd already been flagged around together, then it's a pretty good deal,
Mm.
especially for someone who's never done it before. I was like, oh, this is cool. It's so cool. Nicole has the best picture of me in the pen. Oh well. Anyway, um, so the second day, Buck was like, well, and now we're gonna do the divorce. So he put us all on one end of the arena, and the goal was that we would just ride around. And, we were just in halters and the lead rope at this point, and so we just ride around out of the herd, get to trotting. Bottom line, just get to trotting, whether the horse was in the herd or not. The goal was to get them down to the other end of the arena. And it was awesome because we just went one at a time, click, click, click. And it was so fun to watch all the other horses thinking and sorting things out and whatever. Okay, but here's the thing. There were like, all 20 something of us down on the end. And so as the horse was, whatever horse it was going, was kind of in the herd and trying to find a spot to be, those of us who were standing around on our horses were kind of, you know, to be like, hey, don't stay here, get off me or whatever for various reasons, right? One of them was you just don't want somebody getting caught in your gear or whatever. And a Buck was on Rebel, right? You remember that? Oh, it was the best. Anyway, so Michael gets his colt going. By the way, my colt comes out of the herd and straight down to the other end of the arena, and I'm just petting him the whole way. And of course, everyone just dismissed that. They're like, "Oh, she."
Details, details. No, you and Buck had this back and forth of you were releasing for the thought, and he's like, "Oh, you wanna don't pet him so early." Remember that?
Yeah, and my horse just goes, "Zoop,"
And you're
and
like, "Well,
he's
I don't
like,
know, Buck. It seems like what I'm doing is working."
yeah. Anyway, and then everyone's like, "Yeah, but she got him so comfortable down there." It's like I'm like, "Okay, whatever. This is clearly an example of me never being able to do anything right for these people." But okay. So then Michael goes, and his little horse, wasn't horrible or anything, but just trying to so Michael, every time Michael would come by me, I was trying
Well,
to
and
be,
our horses were hooked on. They
oh yeah,
Yeah, they were both Carson's
oh yeah.
horses, and there was maybe one other, but yeah, so my horse definitely was married up to your horse
Yeah, and even though we had worked them pretty separately,
for one
it was
day.
just mhm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. The Colt Start was like 5 days long. Oh, yeah. Sad. Anyway, so so but in that environment where the horse was like, "What am I supposed to do?" He was certainly a less confident horse in the moment. And so anyway, I was trying to swat Michael's horse with the lead rope. Duh. Except for I kept, and I was like, and I was doing the wind up, like not a little, but trying to be like, hey, because I knew if I could just get one swat, he would stay off of me. Um, I kept hitting Michael, Emily, and like whack, and I just hit Michael in the knee, and he kind of laughs, and everybody sort of laughs, and Michael comes back around and I get the wind up again, and and whack, I get Michael again. And second time, right? And Buck's like, what did he say? Like, did you do something to piss her off or
Oh yeah.
whatever, you know?
Yes.
He's like, what did you do to her? And then Michael's horse like kind of peels off and then he comes back. So I'm like, okay, I have had time to adjust my aim and I'm gonna do this again. Whack! I hit Michael. Michael looks up, he's like, stop doing that. It was great. So that's the divorce story. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I forgot about the. Did you do something to piss her off?
It was so funny. It was funny because, it's this big, serious environment. And, like we're all here to be serious cult starters, and there's all this pressure. Meanwhile, Michael and I are just fucking around, just like normal. Michael, Buck, and me, we're just like having a fun time and not taking anything too seriously. Not what she didn't know it. Yeah, that was it. And the fun, I mean, I wasn't doing it lightly. That's the thing. Poor Michael.
Good thing I had chaps on so that like the rope didn't sting much. Also, I don't think it really packed too much of a punch.
Oh yeah, and then this is, oh, I forgot about this. So I Michael's like, stop doing that. So his horse comes back around and Buck kind of slides Rebel over there and he gets his Romal and he just is like pop, and then he goes, you're welcome, you know. Anyway, it was a good example of the times we were in because we were about 4 years into the deal. So Michael,
Yeah,
Buck,
that
and
was
I
early
spent
on. That was
what was that?
early. Yeah, that was early on. I forget
Uh-huh.
that.
But we had already spent like a ton of time together.
Yeah, but still, all things considered, the the yeah,
Anyway, it's a good memory. By the
yeah,
way, you guys, I mean, that was the same clinic where Buck just caught all his bridle horses and rode them one after the other one day,
yeah.
like 5 of them. That was a sweet time.
That'd be interesting to see again. Not with his current or his last string of bridle horses, but to zip back in time and see him ride those horses again from perspective I sit in now. That would be something else.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah, it was really fun. And then we rode out. You remember that time? Then were riding out, and it's kind of like you go up this big hill. A lot of you guys have been there since then, but the big hill that everybody rides up behind the big round pen now. You go up that big hill. Well, if on the other side, like then there's another hill, and so I'm riding the cupcake around, and he's fine, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful out there. But, going up and down hills, especially back then, was pretty nerve-wracking for me. Um, and Michael looks over at me at one time. He goes, what did you say? Something like, you look like you're having fun or whatever, right? And I was like, I'm unconscious right now. So, oh, Corey, I'm telling you. Yeah, I have FOMO now too, and everyone's like, "Oh, I want to make it out to Bucks this year," and I'm every time someone says that, I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, you should go," and and they should, because it's way better than nothing. But I mean, that first year was pretty righteous in a lot of ways. Another memory I was thinking, Nathan and I were talking about this yesterday. You guys will love this. So I'm just so freaking clueless when it comes to the seriousness of riding a horse for the first time. I had no night latch. So at one point, Nathan's like, because Nathan worked for Buck at the time, he's like, where's your night latch? And I'm like, was I supposed to have a night latch? Uh, I had just gotten a Wade saddle. I had been riding in my Pirelli Fusion saddle for 4 years. So Colleen gave me a McCall, which I still have. This is the saddle I still ride in, but I got the McCall because I was going to the Cold Start. So I had ridden in it never, I think, you know. I had to punch a hole in one of the stirrups and whatever, and I was like, "Am I supposed to have a night latch?" So Nathan goes running over to his saddle, and he gets me his night latch, and so I put the night latch on, which I didn't need, thank God. But it was there, and then at one point I go to get on the cupcake from the fence, and Nathan's like, "Is your cinch tight enough?" So I hop down, and draw my horse forward a little bit. And Nathan goes around to the side and he goes, "Zzz."
No, you missed a detail on this one.
Uh huh.
Remember? Yeah,
No.
you asked me if your cinch was tight enough. I'm like, well, I don't know. Did you tighten it? Did you suck it up? And you're like, yeah, I think so. I'm like, well, then you're good. You're probably good. And then you asked Nathan, and Nathan was like, "Is your cinch?" Well, I don't think he even asked you if your cinch was tight enough. I think you asked him, or to like check your cinch, and he's like, checks it, and he's like, "Zoop." And you're
And
like,
his
oh,
eyeballs were like
yeah.
this, you know? And my stirrups were too short, when we went to do the first ride or whatever. And I'm like, "Buck, can I just grab Maine and sit in the middle?" And he's like, "No, you cannot." Because I was riding a lot bareback then too. So anyway, it was so crazy. And then I remember sitting on my horse for the first time and dropping my coils right in the blind spot. And I remember like watching them click, 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 click down. And what was I supposed to do? Like, this is one of those examples where the horse person learns to stay relaxed in their body, even if the shit is about to hit the fan. What are you supposed? You can't get tight in that
Mhm.
moment. Oh, I just waited for it all to hit the floor, and then I got back onto the fence, hopped down, and Nathan just looking at me like, "I really don't want you to die right now." And Michael's like, "You're fine." Yeah. Um, Girls, how about you shut up? No, we're just kidding. Eva was 7. No, Eva was 4.
No, Morgan
Eva
was
was
4.
7. Morgan was 4. Yeah. So you shall now be punished for being young. No, but it is kind of funny, to think how young we all were. That's what Nathan said. He's like, "Oh, we were so young." Like, yeah, it was fun. So, yeah, Lisa said she remembers the story about the Colts. It was good
Coils.
times. You have to keep that attitude, if you can. Just it's like the point is to have fun, and it was fun. And that is where I came up with the 5 principles. So that's the story, which are friends first, puzzles with answers. And you get to move your own body. You have unlimited guesses. I will help you. I should have made them say it. Lisa said, "I've done so many dumb things. I'm laughing with you, not at you." God love the horse person who's
I
innocently trying to do their best, right?
I don't remember if it was then, but I remember at some point I don't know if you wrote them down, or I think you must have. Maybe you texted him. Any case, I screenshotted it because it wasn't in any like whatever. I think I actually typed it out, the list, and saved it as a JPEG and put it as the home screen or whatever on my phone at the time. Um, so you can all be thankful that Emma's actually putting stuff into usable format right away. Because back then, when you were 7 years old, Eva, I had to make my own JPEG and put it on my phone to remember the principles. And then you weren't calling them principles at that point. You were just like, this is how I think about it. And I was like, yeah, that is how you think about it. That is not how I've been thinking about it. Let's put this on my phone to remind me.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how all these years later, it's really not. Can you guys think of anything else that should I cannot. Of like I think that's all you need.
Yeah, pretty
If
much.
if you have those things, you got it, you know? Um,
Michelle said I'm writing them on my forearms, so when I blank out in the clinic, I have a lifeline. It's pretty good.
don't bring them up to Buck. Not that he
Right up to
disagrees with
Buck.
them. He
Forget to write them on your arm, Michelle, and then right up to Buck and be Buck. What's principle number 3 again? I forgot.
do not do that. You could have fun on the you could add have fun. Oh, yeah. I think the only thing, Sarah, is that these were my promises to the horse, you know? So I don't know if you could force the horse to have fun, but
Well,
it's not it's a good idea. That
we're
is
gonna
that
have
is
fun.
definitely a principle of the whole
This
thing.
will be fun.
Yeah. this this will be fun. Yeah. Oh, it's so cute to play with Feather and just, cuz she's such a dream of mine incarnate, Michael. And and to think of her like in a 30-year block, maybe 26 years from now or whatever, and just kind of know you have all the time in the world, and then just be like, look, here's what it is. She's struggling to get stick to me on both sides, go and whoa. There's some donkey things too in there that do you find this about mules, you guys? That I think it's interesting because the donkey wants to be on you, right? Like this is their love part right here. Like if I'm Feather, like this, and she wants
So
to be
like this.
she wants me on her right here. No, those are too small. You
I
gotta
know.
have the huge ones. Yeah.
Gotta get yeah,
He's looking around for props. Yeah.
big props.
So teaching her that while keeping a light heart about it, it's like I'm taking that you're doing this as a sign of affection, whereas a horse is kind of like doing it in a dominant way a little bit, or a scared way. They might be on you, you know but the donkey, that's their love place. That's their snuggle place. And you're like, yeah, we got to kind of learn to have something different, so we're learning a couple different ones. Like if she's facing me, like here's her little nose, and well, I don't know how to do it from your perspective here, but just imagine you're standing there, and the mule is on, let's say, your right side, and you're both facing forward. Then there's one where she puts her head down and I rub her ears, so but her head is like at the appropriate place, and her head is down instead of her shoulder being like, can I lean on you, like a donkey, or for her to come up straight and for me to be able to cuddle her head, or cuddle her head from the side, or whatever. It's kind of cute to think of things from her perspective and be like, I love the snuggly part of the donkey. I mean, hello, that's a huge value. But it's like, well, we got to redirect it in sort of a horsey way, though. Anyway, that's my Feather story. I love her. Oh, one other thing. We are 7 minutes out from the top end of the show here, but um, Michael,
In other words, let's start a whole new conversation.
you're right, right. Do you have any comments on the last things, you guys? No.
I'm good. I'm glad you told the story of the divorce because not have been as good if I had told it. You would
Yeah,
have taken
because
over at a certain point anyway. We'd be like, This is why I made you tell it, because at a certain point you'd have been like, "No, no, you're not even telling it right," and you would have started telling it. So I just short circuited that and made you start it.
Yeah,
Let's just be
and
real.
quite a few of you guys have heard it already, but I'm glad you asked, Emily, because it's fun to relive the experience for sure.
Fun, it's fun for the 4 and 7 year olds to hear it again, or hear it
Yeah.
for the first time.
Yeah. Eva, I laughed a lot. It was so fun because, like I said, he chuckled it off the first time. The second time, he was like, not impressed. And then the third time, he was just exasperated. He's like, stop, give up, Oh, and of course,
Let Buck
everyone,
do this.
yeah. And I was already just sticking out like a sore thumb, and everybody thought I was just the charity case. So it was not making things better. Anyway, being at Bellwether, I just came to this conclusion yesterday, which is why I want to just give you guys a heads up. Michael will understand this. Um, so it's been a kind of a funky effect because what it makes me desire, um, or the overwhelming desire to be one of the gang. Corey was helping me talk this out a little bit, and then I also realized it kind of after we talked to Corey, and I was talking to Nathan about it. But it makes me long to recreate the days where I was just one of the gang. Because look how fun it is for you guys. You guys are having the best time. Just, everyone down at Bellwether, there's like, 20, 25 of them that whatever, something like that, when they're all just having fun together. And I'm like, that's what I want. I just want to go and dig into my green horses, you know, and there
Laugh.
were no expectations. It's just you could just be part of the crew. Can I go back to that? I love that. You guys can teach now. It's not that I don't like teaching. That was the thing, Corey. It's like, and maybe I did say that, but it's like, it's not about not liking teaching. I like that part, but I wouldn't mind somehow going back to just being a gang member.
Let's not take that quote out of context.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's funny because I don't think you. Well, maybe you would.
I don't think it's possible, probably, but
Well, it's
it
not
would be
possible.
really
Yeah.
fun. Where Eva and Morgan and those guys are, they're just out there like, oh, I'm learning whatever I'm learning, and I don't have any responsibilities. Please enjoy it because it's really fun. That's just the best. Uh, yeah, because it's kind of responsibility free and you could just think, um, and there's a lot of value in, of course, trying, and Julie's always saying this, Julie O'Connor, like, oh, teaching is so important, and you're right. But also not teaching is really important. But it's not the only part that's not important. But again, you take the example of me being at Bucks, the total rookie, like nobody expected anything from me. Like they were like, if she survives this, we're gonna be impressed. And in some ways that was a little bit nerve-wracking, right? Um, but in other ways, it was very, very comforting because it was like, well, everybody else, especially back in the day, that first year, like everyone was pro but me. So, you know, they were going to have handles on their horses. They weren't going to end up in a hot mess. Even if the horse had trouble, they knew how to deal with it. But just being part of the experience like that, I guess it just makes me wistful for it. Corey says it makes sense. You have my permission to stop teaching in 10 years. Ah ha ha. But here's the other thing about Bellwether. I think you guys will just be fine. You have Michael, Stephanie, Eva's coming up. It's like you're fine. And then I could just come to hang out. I wouldn't hate that. I'm just saying. I wouldn't hate that. I would love that. So, and because then I was thinking, oh, I just need a sabbatical. I just need to be able to study with my own horses. I just need to be able to write. I just need to be able to, you know, as things come along, get it out. But then I was like, yeah, but I mean, it was really fun to be able to go places and do things together. And the buck clinics have been like the place to kind of do that until you get and it's a privilege, it's an honor. And look, the people that I've met being able to help in class, but it's a different experience sitting there and being like, kind of looking because you're like, I bet I'm going to have to work that horse or this horse or this horse. And there's a ton of benefit in that. Or even, being horseback and being like, hey, be the demo person or be the person who goes over and helps or whatever. That's a very special experience. It is different though than putting your feet up around the sideline, you know, or just kind of doing your own thing. Even though another funny story about a buck clinic, you guys, I was only a few clinics in, and I had gone to Santa Fe to audit. I had like dance goes on at the time. I also had pink hair. Um, and I remember it was the afternoon class. Do you remember this story?
No.
And I had
Um,
my feet up on the cooler because I mean I was kicked back. What here I was. I had There is no place I would have rather been than at a Buck Brannaman clinic back in the day. Of course, duh, you know? It was like, "This is my version of a tropical beach." So I had my feet up on the cooler, all of a sudden I hear, "Emma, come out here and work this horse." I'm like, "Me?" You know?
in my
Anyway,
dance goes.
it was hilarious. And I was like, "Oh, I'm never gonna be caught out like that ever again," you know? But it was so cool. It's such a good experience. But anyway, am I whining when I say that, or is it okay to,
Be nostalgic.
yeah. I hope it encourages you guys in don't rush through this part. This is so fun to just be a part of a student body that you enjoy, um, and the dynamic of like coach, friends, you know, all of that. Dance go riding boots? Really? Uh, really? Michelle says, when my babies are going around, you can steal one to hang out on if you come to Texas. Yeah. Oh, that'll be cool. Oh man, dance goes. Yep, that was an era. I had leopard ones. Mm-hmm. You did. I was a server for a long time, so for a long time I wore them like as my barn slip-ons, but kept rolling my ankle. So, yeah, roper style. Huh. Corey, understandable. Just want to be in a different role other than the teacher. But yeah, you know that. You've been a teacher for a long time. And it's just a funny thing because it's like, it's like you want to have both, I guess. Don't you think? Don't you miss it, Michael?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think I don't know, not too long ago. I was like, not having the responsibilities is 100% a blessing, the blessing of youth. Like, live it up.
Mm-hmm. And
Julie Julie did just say somehow someday now will be the good old days. So much to be grateful for.
this is a good point. This is a good point. I cannot do better than that. This is an excellent point. Hmm. Joanne says I used to wear dance goes to work for 15 years. Yeah, I probably wore them for 15 years too. They were really good in lots of ways. Um, yeah, so that should be it. I mean, do you guys have any other thoughts? That's thank you, Julie, for saying that. And I mean, it's kind of like duh, right? But there must be a reason that I'm kind of going over it. But really, you guys made me think of it. You guys made me think of it just because, you were all having so much fun together. And I was having fun with you too, but it's not the same as just being in class and just being like, whatever happens is fine. I'm learning. It's like, I was like,
Well,
oh,
the difference from teaching to like being in a buck clinic is at a buck clinic you are, or at least I am, like complete tunnel vision. I'm still aware of what's going on around me in the arena, but like the rest of the world does not exist. Everything outside of that round corral does not exist. The people, what I'm gonna do later does not exist. What happened yesterday doesn't exist. The world doesn't exist. It's just what's in those four walls. And when you're teaching, you're thinking about more than just the tunnel vision of what's happening with this horse and situationally aware of what's going on with other people, but not caring necessarily. That's not your deal. What's going on with someone else and their horse? You're in the middle. You're helping people. You're on the clock. You're thinking. Your like brain is just constantly going, trying to find the right word or trying to catch you know the moment to catch this person and be like, yes, right there. Whatever you describe, all kinds of things your brain is trying to put together when you're watching that many people to provide support and input. No.
yeah. Hmm. And it's a very valuable thing to do for, I'll just take myself, for example, for my education to help you guys. And there's something extraordinary about the triad, you know, and then let alone like at your place, it was like this compounded
Mhm.
thing too. But there's
Just
also
describe the triad in case someone doesn't know what you mean.
oh, yeah, the coach, the rider, and the horse. Like we become a triad. It's funny, Michelle and I were just talking about this yesterday because she has her AirPod in, when I'm coaching her on FaceTime. I think Joanne maybe has had this, although we've only had a couple sessions with her horse really compared to Michelle and I. When did we start, Michelle? Anyway, it was a while, like it's been a while. And Corey has had this experience in real life. But anyway, it's kind of interesting. 2,000 miles away, Otto hears me and he recognizes me now in her ear. So he hears the deal, you know. Um, so the triad is real even through FaceTime, because the coach, the rider, and the horse are a thing, which is really fun. And then, of course, Michael and I are a great example of the coach, the rider, and then the additional friend, being a thing. So yeah, I know, Michelle. It's really an interesting deal. Corey can totally chime in too in regarding anyway, there's a real thing about the triad. But the part that there's also an element, and I guess this is the thing. I just need to do more with my horses. Um, the thing is, I'm not trying to say I want to do more with my horses by myself. I've been doing that. But I kind of want to do more with my horses with other people without, an extreme response, because this is the thing. You can be loose you can just be so loose, especially if you can like turn loose of any sort of an agenda, which is I tend to be, that's just how I am naturally. Like, I don't care. So long as I'm safe, um and my horse and I are friends, I really very little care about the result. Wouldn't you agree, Michael? Like really and truly, everyone's like, "Oh, bullshit," it's like, no, I really don't care. Because the point is to have fun. The point is to get more in alignment with God using the tuning fork of the horse, the universe, the resonance, all that. So the rest of it's just not relevant by the time you're safe. Um and so that looseness is is just so cool. But also being able to do that, with friends, you got to choose your friends wisely. So it's a different kind of camaraderie, I guess. There's a lot to say for getting to ride and socialize. Yeah. So you guys made it worse for me at Bellwether. That's all I can say. So next time, even like I was telling Corey, I'm like, I want to do Super Week, but I don't want to teach. I just want to ride around together and like, then have dinner and talk about stuff. But it never works that way, unfortunately. Like that would be my dream. Because that's what we used to do in the good old days. It was so fun. Anyway, there's an added joy in sharing your experience of learning with your horse and your friends, I think. And well, we'll see, Corey. We'll see if it's valuable. Just me and my horses. Yeah, probably. Anyway, anything else for today? Do you have anything? I mean, Michael, am I crazy? Am I just being a brat? Don't you miss it? I said that like 10 minutes ago, but I'm really trying to solicit some sort of resonance from you about that. And it's not like we would give, I mean, obviously you have are the leader of an amazing crew. So I'm not trying to say don't you hate it? That's not what I mean.
No, definitely. Um, and I was talking, I think, with Eva the other day. There was a group of us, but Eva and I have referenced it, I think, a couple times since, of like windows rolled down, listening to music. I was driving a stick shift Chevy S10, like
Awesome.
in, late, probably in high school, and like not a care in the world. You're just listening to your music. You can't redo that, right? You can't go back to that. So there's always a nostalgia element, and yet, like Julie said, if you're living a full life, there's like you're continuing to build those nostalgia moments, but you can't go back to the nostalgia of the past. Like, it's just not, it doesn't exist anymore outside of your having experienced it and carrying it with you. You cannot recreate it. You can't go back in time youth wise, but you couldn't even in the current age that you are create that artificially. Um it's just something to be enjoyed in your memory. And yeah, absolutely, grand times. um
I think
yeah,
even
and missing them isn't necessarily saying I you know I don't know, you can say I want to go back there, but it's the feeling of being there is just different than what it is now. And
mm,
it's not necessarily I don't want to be where I am now. It's just I'd love to experience that moment again.
mhm. Eva's driving right now with her windows down. Right now. Eva is an adult, but barely. Side note. Um, it's like before having children. Oh, Diane. Mhm,
100%.
mhm. But here's the thing. I guess if I could just accept that, it would probably be good. But the dangling carrot of recreating it is my deal. You know, and this is Kip's reaction to this. And then
Oh,
this is Michael. Michael, I go, this is me getting ready for bed the other night. Am I crazy? Kip, you're entertaining.
uh, which is a creative and safe way of saying yes. That's funny.
I knew you'd appreciate that.
You're entertaining. Uh, that's pretty good.
What were you going to say? The tantalizing dangling carrot of like, because, doesn't everybody fantasize about like moving to another country and driving that old truck and, living on the beach and, you know, all of that. Anyway,
So,
I hope you guys are enjoying it. I guess that's the biggest thing. Because and I kind of thought another thing I thought about clinics, like when I first started doing clinics, like 4 years ago, I really thought I'd get to ride my own horses a bit more during teaching, just because, like, that's what Buck does, you know. But it doesn't really work that way. Like, you can get them to, experience the situation, which is great to stand around and visit and just be your teacher, but it's not like you get to develop your horse. I don't. It's too stressful. Like I was saying, not wanting to ride moose, I was like, it's just too stressful for me to, because I want to do a good job with the horse, and then my responsibility is to the people. So that's a little detail that I thought it would be a little bit different. So you kind of think, okay, well, I'm going to compound my time by also getting to develop my horses, but not really part of it for me anyway at this point. Whereas, you know, Buck Buck gets his ride in regardless.
and I think um, he's just done it so long he's used to doing that. Like that is his during
Hmm.
that season of that time of the year. That's how he does it, and he can get done what he gets done in that time, and he learns how much, or he's learned to probably adjust his expectations to the small window of time he has and chipping away at it. And some days a lot happens, other days, it's just a repeat. Um, but I mean, yeah, the reality is he's not out riding the hills, and the things he might gather in the horse.
Um,
If, you know, I want to go ride out this week, there's a lot my horse could gain by that. Well, that's not available when I'm out in Delaware.
hmm hmm we should ask him if he would have done 40 clinics a year for 30 years if he had to skip riding his horses for 40 weeks out of the year. No. No. Anyway, did I tell you he has Boozy coming out next week instead of Billy Bob? So it'll be fun to see him.
Boozy and beef.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So I'm excited. Anybody who's going to be
What
in Cave
what's
Creek
he
next week, I'll be there.
what's he got in mind with Boozy yet? Did you ask him?
Well, just enjoy them, I think. I
Mm,
didn't I just assumed that's what it was. Mhm. Made a nice bridle horse, might as well ride him. But I have never he said he's never been on the road with 2 bridle horses, like, for class.
mm.
Who knows if he remembers, but certainly in our memory, right? We
Yeah,
haven't I don't think so. No, I don't think so. And so, anyway, that'll be fun. That'll be really fun. Boozy has been very cool to watch him redo some of the things he wanted to adjust and develop him in the way. You guys, if
mm,
you don't know who Boozy is, go to the Buck channel on Instagram and scroll way back to the beginning. And I did a reel with the dance monkey music, and it's kind of, it's not the highest quality video because I was sitting on Zorro, like, 100 feet away or whatever, but it's badass video. Really fun to see. All right, well, that's it, you guys. Y'all hung in here a really long time today. Thank you. And the sun is shining right now, so I'm super excited. I'm, you know, got to do some work stuff and hopefully have a little bit of time to do my own horses too. I have rides to get in before the end of the challenge, rides and hours. So I got to get on it a little bit.
I
I'm in
gotta
good shape, but not if I
calculate
waste.
mine.
What was that?
I gotta calculate mine. I'm
Oh,
probably quite close. I just don't have them written on my little tracking sheet
how are you going to know?
because I have them in my phone.
Oh, okay. hmm Good for you. Sometimes I forget to write it down and then I'm like, I guess I punish myself by not tracking it. And
So,
then I don't make that mistake too many times, but I don't keep it in my phone. That's dumb. Do you still use the Northwood Farms log app?
no,
No. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, so for the Horsemanship Insiders, everybody at Basecamp can listen to the audio note that I posted yesterday on the 5 principles. I recommend that you do that. It's only 7 minutes. Check it out. And then for the Pathfinders, hopefully Willow today or tomorrow, depending. It's almost ready. I'm so close. So I would like to push it out for you guys today, so you could check it out, and then in your head you'd be like, ah, shorten the reins. Should shorten the reins. hmm Yeah.
just just plugging things a bit. The 5 principles is all you really need. Like that is the most valuable content.
Yeah. Write it down and you can cancel your membership. Save the
Hands
money.
down. Hands down.
Yeah.
I did write it down. It was on my screen for a long time till that phone died. Maybe I should find that JPEG and throw it up there again.
Yeah. I could do a graphic. I don't want to do any more graphics. Oh. And did you read Worlds Within Cells?
Mhm.
You did?
Mhm. Twice because you sent it. Well, I think I was just catching up on things. I read it, and then you sent it to me yesterday, so I read it again.
Well, we didn't get to talk about it. Make sense?
Mhm.
Isn't that cool? What a
As
cool
well.
idea. So, EmmaDailyClimbBlog.com, you guys. It's the last one I did, so it's on the front page. Worlds Within Cells. Oh, and then my friend Libby read it, and she's like, blah, blah, blah. I liked it. And she goes, and now I'm going to be chasing waterfalls. And I'm like, you brat. I texted her yesterday. I'm like, we are not friends.
You ruined it.
Oh, because now it's in my head. Ugh. And then she types back, she's like, yeah, if you ever wanted to really annoy somebody, you would just say, no scrubs and walk away. And I'm like, oh, the
and right
devil.
now and right now, there's a good percentage of those listening that have no clue what we're talking
No,
about.
there isn't. There's like Eva and whoever else.
I would say there's on the top end of things too. There's some
Michelle, you know what I'm talking about? Chasing Waterfalls?
Michelle would.
Well, she's pretty young. Sarah knows. She's pretty young.
No, Gabrielle, do you know?
Oh, Gabrielle would know. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Julie?
Anyway, I'm not going to wreck your lives by telling you. So,
There you go.
but I
Exactly.
do recommend that you read the blog. Um, this is what I would say. It's really freaking important.
Mhm,
I read it again because Kip was making fun of me. He's like, "This sounds like you've been licking the mushrooms," and
mhm.
I'm like, I mean, so I didn't. Then I didn't
Are you
share it on
crazy?
Facebook.
Are you crazy?
I'm on the other end and
Oh,
had the
she had the
CD.
CD. Okay.
Hmm. Can you imagine getting it stuck in your head? Oh, I hate it. Um, but here's the thing about that blog. I read it again yesterday when I was going to send it to Michael. There's one little thing I wanted to change on there, but sometimes I just can't go back and change every little. It's good enough. Um, I wish I could remember what it was, but oh, it's so close to being the tip of my tongue of what it was. But it's here is the deal. It is the truth. It is important, and I think that if a person were to grasp the idea, which may take a little bit of work, you might have to look up what ATP is, even though I tried to explain it. You're welcome, Sarah. Sorry. It's like a virus, and that's very mean. Um, and Michael will have it on repeat in his phone. Uh, it would be a good trotting song. You know what I mean? It would be like a good. It's 4 beat. I, oh no, it's not. It's a syncopated beat. But anyway, um, it's very valuable. Read it. Read it and motherfucking weep because it will make your brain hurt and now you will have that song in your head. But you know the good part about having the song in your head, then it will remind you of what the truth is. And the reason that this truth is it will save you from frustration. Oh, kind of. Only kind of, huh, Michael? It could make you more frustrated. But like I said in the blog, the reason it's important is it'll make you humble. Which is good because then you're not trying to force something in just like a ridiculous. I'm not going to say the R word because people get mad, but it saves you from being ridiculous. So Krebs cycle is so much fun. What is Krebs cycle? I don't even know what that is. What the hell is that? Oh, what is that? Is that a band? She's a drummer too, so sometimes she talks about things I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, but you should explain it. Okay, shall we go for the week?
Yeah. Let's all go look up Krebs cycle.
Yeah, honey, check it out. It's exciting. This is the best part about writing these blogs. No, it's science. Oh, yay. So, the best part about hooking on to some of these physics and biology ideas is that then other people pipe up about it and I learn more. So I'm like, yeah, this is definitely reinforcing for me. Anyway, then I'm
Am
going
I
to switch
crazy?
gears. Huh?
Am I crazy? You're gonna hear that from me all the time. Thank you, Kip. No?
It was so Kip too. It was just it's perfect for me, and then there'll be times when I've asked him that in the past, and you can imagine my consternation and my like that's not quite the right word, but it's like desperation, pathetically just being like, "Am I crazy?" And he'll just be like, "Well, as long as you don't start licking the windows." Or something like that. It's like the implication being, uh-huh, but it's okay. Krebs cycle, also known as the critic acid cycle, is a series of chemical reactions that produce ATP. The cell's energy carrier. So is it what causes the mitochondria to pop out that little bit of energy then? Because they do. They do it like a flywheel. I really, and the reason I talked about the scale, Michael, even though it's like so impossible, and you could have just cut that out, obviously. But to me, I in terms of zooming in,
That
like,
that's the humility part.
yeah.
Is trying to imagine the scale.
Mhm. Mhm. I don't get a trillion. And I'm a realtor, you guys. So millions of dollars is a typical number for me. Billions, you know, is like, okay, because you would visualize it as like, you know, a
Hell
starter
of a
home in the
lot.
United. What?
You can visualize it as a hell of a lot.
Yeah, but like I can at least translate it into, a starter home in the United States, or a typical 3 bedroom, 2 bath average price is like 450. Okay, so then you can kind of be like, all right, how many of those is a million? And then you're like, okay, how much real estate is a billion? You know what I mean? I have a way to kind of relate it. But then as soon as I go to trillions, I'm like, there's $394 trillion of real estate equity. And you're like, okay, but a trillion cells? You're like, and then there's however, anyway. So at a certain point, I'm like, I can't, I have to relate it to something that I can grab onto. So, yeah. Okay. So the Krebs cycle is the flywheel. Okay. Thank you for that. That's exciting. Maybe you should comment on that on the blog so that other people can see it. Please don't make me write any more about it. And you guys have to, what could I write about next? That would be, I was thinking baking bread would be a good one. I might do a dispatch on that. That's kind of an important one. Anyway, whatever. I need something for next week. Or it could just be a celebration of feather. Nothing. Michael has nothing. Nothing for me.
Nothing.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for being with us this week.
I'm happy you got
Michael
on
and
her.
I will be here. Oh no, she had a sourdough. See, traumatic sourdough era. Oh yeah, this is a little bit different. My family missed me. Oh no. Yikes.
Very
That
wrapped
sounds
up.
traumatic. Yeah. All right, you guys. So, Michael and I will be back next Thursday morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
8:30 Central.
Have a good week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.